Hey guys, today we're going to help you find out how to find and photograph the northern lights in Iceland. So the first thing I would mention is if you're going all the way to Iceland to see the northern lights is you've got to have a plan. You can't just hope to walk out of your hotel or walk around Reykjavik and look up and see the northern lights. That's most likely not going to happen. You need to have a way of figuring out where to go and when to go to see them. So that's what we're going to cover today. The only term you need to be aware of is KP index, and all you really need to know about that is the higher the number, the greater the chance you have of seeing the northern lights. So a 9 is the highest, 0 is the lowest. 9 is extremely rare. You're probably going to be dealing in values of 3, 4, 5, and 6 for the most part. So the higher the number, the greater the chance that you have to see them. And the way that we're going to find them is through an app. So let's go ahead and take a look at that now. So the app we use to find if it's a good night to chase the northern lights in Iceland is called Aurora. And it's available for both Android and the iPhone. So I'm just going to hit it right here. You can see the icon. It's the same icon for both. You'll be greeted with this screen here, and the first thing you want to do is put in your location. So to do that, you hit the purple button and you're going to type in a custom location unless you are where you are going to be looking. So we've typed in Reykjavik here just to see what's going on there, and we hit done. And now you can see that it's telling us we'll go to the next screen, and you can see that the viewing probability for Reykjavik tonight is only 5%, which is not good. And the reason for that, you can see in the next screen down, is because the cloud coverage is 100%. And in order to see the northern lights, you need two things to be happening. You need a high KP index, and you need no clouds in order to see them. So if we scroll down a little bit further in this app, you're going to see that the KP index is only about a 1.3 or a 1 all night, which is really, really low. That's considered quiet, and you're probably not going to see them. The nights that we saw the northern lights, the most vivid, the KP index was a 5 or a 6. And the 6 is considered, when we were there, it was a solar storm. And that happens only about one day a month on average that you'll get a KP index of 6 or higher. So anything in our estimation of a 4, 5, or 6, you have a really good chance of seeing the northern lights, and it's worth it to drive wherever you need to get to see them. So if we go ahead and scroll down a little bit further, you can see the estimated KP index for the upcoming days, and you can see that this whole week there's only one day that's even a 3 in Iceland. And so it's not really a great week to be there. But the next week, you can see 2 KP index nights of 6, 1 of 5, and 2 of 4. So that's going to be an awesome week. That's probably going to be an amazing week. And we're going to actually be in Norway that week. So hopefully we get to see them. So once you see that there is a KP index that's going to be worth going to check, then you have to figure out where the clouds are, and you don't just want to leave that to chance because there's a lot of clouds in Iceland. So you go to the next tab over and this little cloud button at the top, and it's going to show you a map of Iceland, and the green area is clouds. So as you can see tonight, almost the entire island other than the upper northeast corner is covered in clouds. So even if it were a KP 5 or 6 tonight, there's so many clouds you just wouldn't see them. So the night that we saw them very clearly, it was kind of like this. There was green covering most of the southern island, but we saw there was an area about 4 hours away from us where it was going to be all white, and so that's where we drove to. So really finding the northern lights is a product of two things. It's picking a day that has a high KP index, and then finding a part of the country where there aren't going to be clouds. And this is the app that will show you how to do that. And then the last thing that you need to do is make sure that you are facing north. So I'm going to go over some different areas of the country that have good features where you want to see things that are facing to the north. So once you have found your spot, you're going to want to be facing to the north, obviously. Now, on some nights when it's really active, you're going to see them all around you. Like we saw on a KP6 night, they were just 360 degrees all over the place. But if it's not that active, you want to be at some type of feature that is facing north. And in Iceland, the two best places are probably the Skagafoss waterfall and the Glacier Lagoon. So pick one of those places if you can, if they're not covered by clouds, and try to head there because they do look directly north behind them. As far as when to go, a lot of people think you want to go in the dead of winter. I don't think that's the best because while there's no real accurate information, a lot of people say that September, October, or even March is a little more active and it's not nearly as cold. So in my mind, the best time to go is September, October. That's when we went because you're not going to deal with snow. It may be a little bit warmer and you're going to be out there for a long time at night, and you really don't want to be out there in December, January if you can avoid that. So think about going maybe end of September, early October, and trying to find them then. So once you've found them, I know you want to know how to photograph them because you want to show people what you saw. So here's a little guide to doing that. First of all, if you have an iPhone, you're just going to need to disregard most of what we're saying here other than just get this app. And the app is called Nightcap Camera, and that's going to let your iPhone see the sky in a way that it needs to take the picture. So just get that app, follow the instructions on it, you'll be able to take good pictures through that app. If you have a DSLR, on the other hand, you're going to want a tripod. Well, that also actually applies to the iPhone. You're going to need a tripod for either. But if you have a DSLR, you're going to want a tripod because your exposures are going to be around 15 to 30 seconds. And you need something really solid, really sturdy. It can get windy at times, so make sure you bring a good tripod. These are the settings that I would just start with, and you can play around from there. 30-second exposure, ISO 1600, and an f-stop of about 3.5 or 2.8 if your lens will go down that far. Now, there's a little bit of leeway in there depending on if the lights are really moving. And by moving, I mean the first night that we saw them, the lights came up and they were just extremely stationary. I don't know why that is, but we saw them and for minutes or even 15 minutes at a time, they just kind of stayed in the same place. The next night that we saw them, they were moving all over almost like a movie, and they wouldn't stay still. So if you were doing a 30-second exposure, essentially just the whole sky would end up being green because they were just moving all over the place and filling up your entire picture with green. So sometimes it can be a cooler picture to have them stationary. Sometimes it can be better to have them moving. So when you see them, depending on what they're doing, you're going to want to play around with your shutter speed and adjust that to get the picture that you want. But you will see them with a naked eye, and you will be able to tell what's going on and know what kind of speed you need. So I hope this guide has been helpful to help you find them and photograph them. And let us know if you saw them in the comments. Give us a like, a subscribe, and we'll see you next time.